Thermodynamics has a black body, and all the engineering students must be well aware of that already. Based on the understanding of the black body, there are hundreds of concepts that are studied in the thermal engineering, and so many problems are solved in the industries since so many years now. Black hole is just one and the same like the black body of thermodynamics. Nearest black hole to Earth is just 1600 light years away from the planet. Is that safer? Certainly yes, that is completely safest distance to not to bother about what is happening in that black hole, which is located almost on the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. Does it mean that there is no threat from the cosmic space to the planet Earth? One can give no guarantee on that part at any time. It is just because of the humongous size of the universe Earth is safer for humans to live here. Yet it is not completely safe because of the fact that there are so many asteroids, craters and meteors that are continuously being flung onto the space by the so many supernova chemical actions that are happening on the cosmos intermittently. A fragment from a distant star is alone good enough to change the destiny of the whole world. Yet there are safety features that are specialty offered by nature with the unique benefits of being part of the solar system. The entire solar system is far away from the black holes and the other major threats that can suck away our whole planet Earth. Can anyone survive a black hole? Event horizon. The surface rings of the black holes are the event horizon. It is pretty important for the humans not to send satellites closer to these event horizons. The moment it reaches the proximity of the black holes, they are swallowed through these event horizons. These are outer rings of the black holes, which otherwise can be called as the mouth of the black hole monster. How long is the effect of the black holes? Till how much distance the astral objects can move safely without being snatched into the claws of the black holes? All these questions remain unanswered, even all until now, as it is one of the complicated subjects to study about something that is magnanimous and hard to follow from such a huge distance. Jump into a black hole simulation to understand the conversation of energy examples better. The black hole sound effect can be felt and wondered when anyone does so. Over the years of the black hole's existence on the galaxy, it keeps bulging on and on with whatever objects that it has sucked inside voraciously. It means the mass that it can gain can reach a maximum potential of about 50 billion times the size of the Sun. After that point, the black hole gets shredded. How are black holes formed for kids to understand about the concept? It is not something so easy to show exactly on what happens to time in a black hole. Yet smaller level of simulations is being made in the planetariums. Just like anything else in the cosmos, black holes do have their own birth and death. Nothing lasts long for infinity in the material universe, and that is true with the case of universe and its magnanimous black holes too. Two black holes colliding simulation. This is a possibility, and there are intermediate black holes too. When this happens, that is supernova. So, what do scientists look for in space that might indicate the presence of a black hole? It is the difference in the environment that shows the potential possibilities for a black hole to be present in the confined space of the cosmos. Acceleration is greater for a satellite when it is at the brink of the black hole, understanding that the path has to be deviated instantly. Else, the satellite goes mad after some time, only travelling towards the point of the event horizon of the black hole. Get to know the event horizon definition, and by then it is easy to understand if anyone can survive a black hole. All the galaxies do have black holes, and these black holes are like dustbins that keep the galaxy clean. Say, for instance, the number of stars in your galaxy is 1000 in the year 2012. Over a period of time, in the year 2022, some hundreds of stars are dying. What happens to the dying star? The dying star moves away from its point of location where it was stationary or revolving for thousands of years, moves away to get completely deteriorated, shredded, and disappears finally when the gases are no more contained together as one star. Learners often ask the question on how the speed of Earth's orbit around the Sun would change if the Earth's mass. If there is a change in the mass in Earth, then certainly that is going to affect the gravity between the Sun and the planet. That means the path can get shifted from its path right now. The path will go off farther from the Sun to a certain extent rather than being pulled inside to go close to the Sun. Mass on Earth is contributed by its central core, which is nothing but pure lava or magma inside. That is the reason for the gravity to exist all until now. When the mass decreases, then the gravity is supposed to decrease, and in turn the distance between the Sun and the Earth goes wider. It means the orbit is not the one and the same anymore. The best way to understand this is to see the black hole simulation video. What could happen by then? The dying black hole is supposed to collapse before its death. The entire objects inside her or the gases deform and flung into the cosmos. Changes are devastating at that time in that galaxy. Size of the hole determines the changes, though. What happens to things that go into a black hole is the same when things are getting thrown out of it too. Temperature is high and the speed is high as well. Is there gravity in a vacuum? When there is no air, then there is still gravity. Yet the time taken for free fall is just one and the same for all the objects, regardless of whether it is a stone or a feather. Mass is not affecting the speed anymore as there is no air. Vacuum can bring in only that type of change, but not the change in gravity as a whole. If anyone are wondering about the worst and the weirdest mysterious objects of the cosmos, then that can be the supermassive black holes. These are part of almost every big galaxy in the universe, but hidden in the hearts of the galaxies to be hard to figure out. These voracious black holes are heavier than our Sun by a billion times. Clouds of unfortunate gas in the stars are sucked by these supermassive black holes that are hungry ever. Gravitational claws that can snatch the stars that pass by, merrily with powerful attraction, belongs to supermassive black holes. Why is there no gravity on the Moon? Imagine what happens when the two black holes collide, sound hits the environment. Get an understanding. This is because of the simple fact that there is supergravity collision. There is gravity in Moon, but that is microgravity, unlike the above-mentioned example. This is continuously happening in every other galaxy that anyone observes, and that is all just because of the black holes that are sucking the objects to grow up to a maximum of about 50 million times, like the size of the Sun of our solar system. The equation for the speed of an object in circular orbit is totally variant from that of what is happening in the gravitational field. That is how a black hole is formed, and why is it so powerful too. The weightlessness definition can be understood and felt better when one is traveling to space. Interactive black hole simulation is not necessary by then. Supernova to neutron star bombardments can be understood better when anyone can view these happenings lively through the electron microscopes. It is easy to understand exactly on where a force should be applied on a lever arm and to grasp the idea of the types of black holes as well. Researchers makes the black hole video with the idea on what they get to see in the telescopes like Hubble. How are black holes born is not a question to ask anymore after seeing these videos. The event horizon destiny and the microgravity versus zero gravity are important something to learn in the beginning classes in schools. The event horizon of the black hole pattern can be used in creating many other inventions to improvise our technology today. Guess what happens when a black hole meets a white hole? Why not the technology be used in different ways in the industries to come up with something superior than what exists today? Understanding about how many times larger than our Sun's mass can a black hole has can make one create a black hole movie. That can make others to learn easily on the astronauts in space can be massless as well. So what is at the center of the universe? There is nothing stationary in that position. Moon gravity acceleration cannot be understood better as it is so small. That is the same reason here as well. It is not possible to make predictions in the magnanimous universe. The dark matter theory can explain certain facts though. Learn on how does the Schwarzschild radius of a black hole depend on its mass. When anyone is learning these essentials, then it is easy to grasp an idea on how do astronomers detect black holes. They are not hunting for the black holes. What they do is observations. They allot certain areas as their own responsibilities to observe. The areas of allocation vary from one researcher to that of the other. When the allocated area is for a particular team, then the responsibility of the team is to make sure that at least a 10-member team is continuously watching all the areas in that particular space, and each and every move is logged for the supervisors or the senior scientists to regularly see and monitor the happenings. It means the most experienced researchers on top of the organization will know precisely about any important changes that are being logged by the juniors. Immediately, the needful attention is taken to focus more on that particular area, with close eyes for details by the entire team, and if needed with much more people to join the research instantly. Describe what a black hole looks like using one of the different ways of seeing the sky. It is not easy to understand anything at all by seeing the sky. Even the telescope is not useful for the common man to understand or see anything in the range of black hole. How does anyone detect the presence of stellar mass black holes? It is the environmental changes that denote the presence of the stellar holes. The boundary of a black hole beyond which light cannot escape is called the event horizon. Dying stars are creating the stellar black holes. Even our own galaxy has a black hole in the center. The Milky Way galaxy has a black hole in the center, as it is predicted by the scientists recently. Watch out for that. So what happens if anyone gets pulled into a black hole? No one can go even near a black hole as humans, so there is no point in asking about what happens if anyone gets caught in a black hole. Understand what black holes are. Understand the types of black holes. Play the travel inside a black hole game, and then it is easy to ascertain or understand that there is no gravity in space, true or false. There are supermassive black holes. Resolve the supermassive black hole muse. Understanding the supermassive black hole definition is not easier though. With only that fractional second experience, no researcher can come to any complete conclusion. It is the sheer calculations that are done based on the observation to do extrapolations based on the logs of the past that can help to assume certain things about the black holes as well as the behavior of many astral bodies. There are stars that are 20 times bigger than the Sun in our own galaxy. When the nuclear fuel inside the Sun is completely over, Sun dies out quietly. Same is the case with the stars too. When that happens, then the stellar black holes are formed. Strength of gravitational fields. What units are used to measure the strength of gravitational fields? Event horizon explained better in the research materials of University of California. When the gravity overwhelms with no fuel resource inside, then the pressure created is sure to fling out the layers of the stars or Sun into the space. This is what creates the black hole in that area where the layers were there earlier. The remaining core that is existing there with infinite density but no volume turns into a black hole. Stellar black holes facts. When a star is coming closer to the black hole, it gets hotter and it starts to travel at a very fast rate, bleeding bad to finally fall into the black hole. At this juncture, the star matter is being brightest in the X-rays. This is one study done by the one segment of scientists in NASA. Yet there are so many thousands of such studies made by the so many researchers and scientists from various parts of the globe. Some of the key findings give us shallow ideas about how to proceed with the researches and studies further to understand these cosmic objects better. Yes, these studies are sure to help us to know more and more about space and its various movements, which in turn help us to arrive at special formulae. The special formulae found can also facilitate us to bring in some revolutionary changes in the technology that anyone ought to use today. These changes that anyone are bringing in the technology may even make it possible for us to travel to farther distances into the space and do better researches from close destination to the other planetary bodies of the cosmos. Improvisations come in and anyone can become superhumans. These are step-by-step improvements that can strengthen the mankind to act the upcoming challenges that are predicted with vision by the visionary scientists of the present times. They see threats and assistance too to come in from the aliens. There are fiction stories that trigger such opinions amidst the commons, but there are also scientists like Stephen Hawking who mentioned about these potential possibilities with scientific evidences. What are a black hole's only physical properties? The Event Horizon movie theory and the LIGO Chirp MP3 explains the gravitational wave sound effects. Anyone can learn on how and who discover the law of conservation of energy, which is the basis to understand the black hole's theory. Black holes collide sound. With that said, if one is willing to know what is happening in the cosmos, and especially in case of these black holes, then the only choice is to learn the basics of time and space and then observe the movements of the astral bodies continuously for years together. Remember, the age of the humans is negligible compared to the ages of the black holes for that matter. White holes formed. Black holes are necessary for the galaxies for all the reasons mentioned above. The gravity of the black holes is superior that the light energy entering into the black holes cannot escape out. All the light that hits the border is sucked in by the black hole without any reflections. How does a galaxy that contains a quasar differ from an ordinary galaxy? What is special now about the black holes is that they are super capable enough to have the best of the gravitational forces to suck in the asteroids that pass by, the meteors that pass by, and so forth. What happens if a black hole can suck the material objects that are sent from the Earth's surface to the researchers of the cosmos? How about the aliens? Are they taking due measures too to counter the threats from the black holes? Do they have the means to not allow their satellites getting sucked into the black holes? What is the technology that is being followed to counter the gravity of the black holes? Interactive black hole simulation. Some of the basic gravity questions and answers explain one on why do astronauts feel weightless in orbit. It is based on the conservation of energy equation fluids. It is not easy to comprehend precisely about the weightlessness on Earth, on space, and the Milky Way black hole without knowing the time-space gradients well. Moon has gravity, but it is pretty less to be felt by us as anyone are from Earth, which has a higher gravity compared to the Moon. Moon doesn't have big gravity because of the cold internal core. The core is not as hot as that of the Sun or Earth, or even the other planets that are farther away from the Earth. So who discovered black holes and why that has supergravity? White holes formed are the best explanations to prove a point here. The white hole is just contradictory fact to the formation of the black holes. There are so many studies that are going on currently to find out where anyone goes if anyone falls into a black hole, or what is the gravity in space. Yet the success rates are not that high. There are not adequate tools to use to find out what is inside a black hole. Whatever anyone are seeing today or reading today in the simulations, graphs and diagrams are purely based on the theories that are put forth by either Newton or the post-Newtonian scientists. Jupiter gravity. 12 moons found in Jupiter orbiting around the planet are not alone, but there are so many small asteroids that are also revolving around the Jupiter, which can also be termed as moons of Jupiter. If that is the case, then there are 63 planetary bodies that are moving around the biggest planet of solar system, the Jupiter. The gravity is on the higher side here as well. It is 7 times higher than what Earth has, but it is still farther away from Earth just because of the mass. Even if a researcher spends all his or her lifetime in studying the moments of the black holes, there are larger chances for nothing to happen in all that time period. It is just like a fractional second passing without much activity in the life of the black hole. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, it is not easy to understand the black hole facts with the present technology in hand. What is the event horizon of a black hole quilt, and what happens when black holes die, or in which direction does the force of Earth's gravitational field always act? It is all something that anyone can hardly figure out. It is essential to research more to find on what would happen to someone falling into a black hole and the theory that mass curves space quilt as well as the precise gravitational force of a black hole. There are two layers in the new black hole that is formed on the spot where the star is dead. One is the inner core, which is at least 3 times equivalent to the mass of the Sun of ours. The next one is the outer ring shapes opening that triggers the gravity. This is the point where the small objects get sucked in. This is where the food comes in from the massive black holes. What mass of neutron stars must turn into black hole? The study about the black holes and the way they are born and the process of sucking cosmos objects voraciously is studies and researches in the England universities, and the explanation is presented in the year 2016. Yet further clarifications were also offered recently, just a year before, about its real potential of these black holes and their lifetime. Law of conservation of energy definition is the basis to understand on how is a black hole formed step by step and how much would one weigh on the moon. Imagine if there is a fall into a black hole simulation game for the children. They can understand on how are black holes made and what do black holes give off. This is the key towards learning process for the researchers too. There are demonstrations made to them at the higher levels on why are astronauts weightless in the space station quilt. Even there, the case is the same about the fall into black hole animation and the gravity in space facts. Yet that is done on a massively larger scale with technical components coming in between to explain and illustrate on falling into black hole simulation. Gravity in space for kids to understand is not easier though. That is how the black holes are formed. There are questions from the children on is there gravity on Earth? There are movies from black hole NASA divisions to explain on how black holes are detected. So, what is true about satellites? How does anyone protect them from the black holes? How a black hole is formed and why is it so powerful? The fabric of space-time is severely warped by the massive black holes. Light eventually slows down and comes to a stop when it touches the event horizon of the black hole. It means it is dead and where time, space, gradients or light is no more. It is not possible to see a black hole with naked eye. It is not possible to sense it through the instruments that anyone has in hand today in the Earth. Anyone may be using any type of electromagnetic radiations just like the X-rays or the UV rays or whatsoever anyone wants to use, but still anyone may not be able to comprehend on what is happening inside the black hole. It is only understood better through the environmental effects near the hole. Just because of the changes that are happening inside, anyone learn more and more about the black holes. The observations made by our ancestors like Aristotle or Pluto or Newton is highly useful for us to come to lots of predictions. That leads to identifying so many facts. This is how the setup is all now, with no big advancements coming in for even thousands of years. If there are not any revolutionary inventions that are coming in the next few years, then it is hard to understand better about the universe and its intricate secrets so easily for any one of us or even for the next few generations to come. Gravity facts. There are not facts about gravity force in any pages on the web today. It is a subject matter of research all now. So, Event Horizon 2 and the theory that mass curves space is all not getting valid answers. If the Sun buckled to become a black hole, the Earth's gravitational magnetism to it would be what? By the time Sun becomes a black hole, there will be no Earth at all. The sound of black holes merging can kill the solar system. A singular black hole can be detected, quilt, and the largest black hole in the universe is being observed to understand these effects. As the universe is constantly expanding, one cannot figure out exactly on what is the center of the universe. Earth is considered to be the center of universe by some researchers and philosophers of the Platonian times. Yet that is not right as per the findings of the latest times. There are bigger galaxies and very big number of cosmos objects that are infinite to get an idea about the universe. How can anyone determine a center for the universe which is expanding out of proportions every day and night? That is not possible to our knowledge as of today. Sound of two black holes colliding Colbert. There are so many studies that are furthered today about the law of conservation of energy formula chemistry so as to learn on what is needed to calculate the orbital speed of a satellite. Of course, there are miniature black holes. This is based to learn well on what happens when one falls into a black hole. With a black hole simulation video, it is easy to comprehend about how do black holes die. Yet, studies based on assumptions and theories of the past had given a few answers to all the questions mentioned above in a smooth manner, but it is not sure that if these answers are totally right. The technology in Earth today is not so advanced that all the moments in the cosmos can be rightly interpreted in the exact manner how it is. Black hole simulation online. It is the distance between the planets and the Sun that determines the gravity range as well. It is the reason why the gravity on the Mars is a bit higher than the Pluto always. How would the speed of Earth's orbit around the Sun change if Earth's mass increased by 4 times? Guess, for instance, if anyone is following the black hole from Hubble. If the black hole can suck even all the light that passes through it, leaving no escape for light to be viewed by the outside worlds, then what can one see through the telescopes observing the black holes for years together? Even if there are changes that are happening constantly in the black holes, with massive amounts of gases contained in it to induce several chemical reactions, how to see on what is happening inside is something that remains unanswered all now. A star may form a black hole once it cannot. Dying stars are not forming black holes always, though. How, in a black hole, the inward force of gravity is balanced by which outward force? This is something that needs more research and study. That is how anyone learns better on what happens when two supermassive black holes collide. Simulations are there for the two black holes collide 2016. Learn on how a supernova becomes a neutron star. Feel on fall into a black hole flash gain. Study further the theories to have a valid idea. Such dying stars are moving out of the location and they are falling from where they were as if a lost person wanders in the new city. These stars or comets or asteroids that are wandering the space in that particular galaxy are not allowed to reach the neighboring galaxies but only absorbed by the same galaxy's black holes. Falling into black hole is witnessed often by majority to learn the otherworldly experiences. That is how a star becomes a neutron star. So, what does the sky look like by a black hole? It is purely based on the law of conservation on mechanical energy equation. There are researches being conducted on moon gravity, the event horizon, and the facts about a singular black hole can be detected. There are so many different types of black holes that are found so far. The size of some is just of the size of an atom. Some are huge like mountains. The ones that are in the center of the galaxies are called the supermassive black holes. These are 20 times bigger than the mass of the Sun. There are some other stellar black holes like what was explained above already. Stellar black hole is not the smallest black hole. It is just like a Sagittarius. The Reddit black hole simulation and the Pluto gravity can explain things better here. Physics of black holes can be quite complex for anyone to make out things easily, like what is an NGC 1277 black hole. What would happen to a clock and a human body if they were dropped into a black hole? It makes sense to learn the weightlessness physics, which can illustrate on what would happen if two galaxies collide. How are the black holes formed on the cosmic space? How many years it took for them to gain such massive strength through what? Why it is located in the heart of the galaxies? Taking into consideration of all these 3 points, the first and foremost thing what anyone needs to understand about the black holes is that they are formed due to nova catalyst reactions that happen on massive scales in the galaxies during the death of a star. The law of gravitation is used to derive Kepler's laws. The planetary motion laws explain the gravity on Sun. The gravity information explains on the travel inside a black hole game. So which of the following planets has the longest orbital period? If anyone is keen to learn on according to the law of conservation of mechanical energy and the gravity on the Earth, then there are ideal chances for that now. For that, there must be supergravity in the black hole to pull in those cosmic objects that are passing by. This supergravity of the black holes makes it easier for them to swallow biggest of the stars and the comets or asteroids too without leaving them to the outside galaxies. In one way, it is a cleaning action for the galaxy, and in other ways, it is a confinement of the galaxy's properties towards itself without letting the degraded objects or gases to the next galaxy. The event horizon is believed to be a singularity. Watch out the videos of Black Holes Collide 2015. That can show the super capability of the cosmos. How much gravity is in space is best understood with that idea. Everything about gravity can be perceived in the right ways. Lean on how are black holes made. Yes, the sound of a black hole B flat. Event horizon band is better understood in the same manner. Stellar mass black hole versus supermassive black hole facts is analyzed better. What if someone falls into a black hole simulation game is so interesting experience to learn on how discovered black holes. It is a point where there is no coming back. As a matter of fact, there is only menial knowledge about the black holes, even though several scientists have mentioned about the existence of these black holes in their presentations. Papers from Newtonian times reveal this fact about the black holes and the enormous amount of gravity that is associated with these supermassive black holes. There are different types of black holes like stellar black holes, supermassive black holes, white holes, and so on. Does anyone die in a black hole? There is no doubt in that. There is no possibility to reach all until the surroundings of the black hole as human beings. Technology today has found nothing that is so advanced to withstand the temperature and pressure that is good enough to go closer to the Sun or a black hole. It is not easy to reach these destinations, as there are a complex mixture of gases that are not even identified yet to be of what category, so that there can be preparations made accordingly to go close to these points. What kind of stars become black holes? Stellar holes are formed by the dead stars. There is not any specific type of star or sun that creates these stellar holes, and not all the stars will create one necessarily. There are so many reasons for that to happen though. Gravity in space station is not uniform everywhere. So how are black holes detected? The black hole simulation online is not exactly what is happening in the real case though. The examples of weightlessness and the Event Horizon wiki cannot explain anyone everything about the conservation of energy physics. That is why it becomes hard for us to rightly ascertain on what happens if two black holes were to collide with each other. Yes, there comes in the next question. Is there gravity in outer space, and how do black holes die? When the size of the black holes are overwhelmingly bigger, then eventually they do collapse and die. It is a dead end. They would not come back at all. What happens to matter in a black hole? It gets sucked in and shredded like what happens in a shredder for a car that is sent inside. What happens inside a black hole is something that anyone can learn only through the continuous observations made without any disparity. What happens inside a black hole is something that is so curious for everyone to learn about. What happens in a black hole are complex changes. These changes cannot be understood easily though. Try playing a fall into a black hole flash game. It is possible to figure out by then on what could be the actuality when anyone gets to see on a fall into black hole simulation. Yet that is not exactly it is. There is a difference between a mountain and a mole. Even the Milky Way galaxy is just assumed to have one black hole in the center, but it is not proven all now yet, though. It means it is not easy to predict the exact borders of the black hole in any particular cosmos space, as the universe constantly keep on expanding in all the directions. For us, who are not well versed in studying the black hole's concept all until the discovery of the X-ray telescopes, it is not so easy to study about the concept in detail so shortly. Even though the presence of these holes were assumed by the earlier scientists, it is only after the invention of the X-ray telescopes anyone were able to rightly come to an idea about the concept.